Thank you all for joining us here today on our diversity discussions in partnership with Hall of Flowers. As I speak with several people across the cannabis industry as we talk about their stories, diversity and inclusion, and what steps the industry can do to take so we could progress forward.
Yeah, for me, it started back in 2011. You know, I was playing in Denver for the Nuggets. Every time I picked up the newspaper, it was always something about cannabis and the benefits of it.
You know, this plant, literally, bar none, by far, is the most versatile plant on the face of this earth when it comes to engaging with a human body, period.
I was always taught that cannabis was a gateway drug, but towards the end of that season, my grandmother came to see me play, and you know, she was telling me about all the things that she was suffering from. So she's like, "I ain't smoking no reefers." She tried it, and you know, I went to go check on her an hour and a half later after she tried it, and she was downstairs crying, reading her Bible. You know, that's what really inspired me to learn as much as I could about cannabis, and eventually, you know, I decided I wanted to be a crusader.
Literally, my whole entire family was wiped out by the war on drugs. It was on crack. You know, imagine growing up like that.
Majority of my adult life, I've been in the cannabis industry. Before that, I started advocating. So I started a small hobby grow. One of the things I had learned, a formulation to dissolve cannabis oil into propylene glycol and make an original e-cig.
Cannaclusive was founded because of the lack of diversity in the cannabis industry in the Los Angeles area.
I was put here to do this because I wasn't a big cannabis user. But then I started getting into it, and then it kind of fell in my lap.
There's got to be so many people like me who are misinformed, who just didn't know. People who want natural solutions, but just didn't even think about cannabis as an option or in the wellness way.
I just said, I'm going to start a delivery. The city said, no, it's illegal. You're going to jail. But I seen other people doing it. And that's when I started with my Posh Green delivery.
I very rarely see mainstream topics around Latinx, Asian. But at the same time, Asian people are the least likely to be incarcerated because of cannabis. So while I feel that the conversation has been disproportionate, it has been appropriate to addressing the contrast and opportunity.
It was always just a monetary thing for me. My sights were never set on, back then when I was trapping, that I would be able to even do this legally. It wasn't even in my brain.
Seeing flower that I grew really helping people in the community, specifically, you know, strains that I was breeding. She kind of pulled me aside one day at the dispensary, and she said, hey, you know, it's because of you donating this flower that I was able to save money to buy, you know, this special medical device that I needed. And now I'm able to sleep more at night. And it just really hit home for me. And it was at that moment that I kind of realized that I wanted to dedicate my life to this plant.
Yeah, our purpose is all about uplifting, educating, and empowering, you know, people of color. Trying to figure out how do we uplift our people and allow our people to live better lives? How do we rebuild our communities?
But really what got me to come into it full time is the more that I learned about the racist history of prohibition and how that affected the laws.
You know, I'm a conventional doctor by training. I was a first or second year medical student and started to get that I wasn't getting trained to help people heal. So here I was training in the conventional way, recognizing that, they're just teaching me how to be a modern day legal drug pusher. Mm-hmm. Why aren't we spending time with patients talking about lifestyle measures?
I first experienced cannabis use when I was 2. I was quite sick, and he made concoction that was like a combination of cannabis, a couple of different herbs and so on, and it helped to save my life.
I really made the connection between the mind and the skin and the gut, and I had never really thought about things in such a holistic way, which is why endocannabinoid science is such an amazing thing, because it's a system that really balances and is very holistic.
I put myself through junior college selling cannabis out of my backpack. Weed was always something that I could use to make sure that I could put gas in my car, you know, pay for my books, you know, in junior college, pay for my tuition.
Knowing how hard it is to get licensing, like, hey, they're giving out R&D licenses. This is before 64, and it was still a hard road. Doing it yourself, respect.
When I first started, I didn't tell people I was an owner just because I was scared, you know, and Black people can do business great, you know, not like half-assed like people expect from us.
The goal being to understand the underlying reason why dysfunction happens and then treat that underlying reason instead of throwing Band-Aids on symptoms.
I created this topical that, you know, once I started using it, you know, 2 weeks later, the inflammation was out of my knee, and pretty much it's been gone since.
We all got 2 arms, 2 legs. You know, we're all born the same. We're all going to live and die. When are we going to not even have to have these conversations? Because we're not thinking on that level. We're thinking about how we can all work together.
Every day I'm just working to accomplish the next goal. Heard about it like, oh, you're make history. No one's so owner of a cannabis club. Like,
I believe it's a privilege to partake in this legal industry as a business owner, as an employee, even as a consumer. We are trying to galvanize the industry and sort of harness the sum of our parts. Decriminalizing, as wonderful as that sort of sounds off the bat, there are right ways to do it. The biggest is following the leaders who have been doing this work for years.
Call upon everybody in the industry to look past the color of our skin and to realize that we are truly the human race. When are we going to not even have to have these conversations? Because we're not thinking on that level. We're thinking about how we can all work together. It's like, when are we going to get to the point when the color of a man's skin is no different, makes no difference than the color of their eyes?